Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode, number 2 of Tim the Tech Guy's Digital Basement Museum. So we need to come up with a name for that still. But yes, welcome. And I see that we have a couple of people here. So I guess we'll kind of wait and see if anybody else joins in. But we've got a little stream going to happen here tonight. We've got some Dell excitement tonight. That's right, we're going to raise some Dell in the office here. Yes, it's the best pun I can come up with. Have a couple of Dell machines from mid 20 teens. Um, Not really that exciting of machines, but we do need to have things to be able to do work here. So after some testing, we sort of decided that maybe the little AMD Lenovo Tiny is not quite powerful enough to really do what I want to do on the bench. So we're going to build another machine. We're actually going to set up a new machine and see what's in it for the bench. And we're going to set up a video editing machine, or at least build it for the actual office computer slash everything else. So hopefully you guys find that somewhat interesting. I don't foresee this to be a very long stream, but I also didn't foresee the stream yesterday to be very long, but it was almost 2 hours. So I can't imagine anyone having the attention span to stay and watch early 20 or mid 20 teen Dell office computer talk for 2 hours, but you never know where streams are going to go. So that said, I'm going to hop over to my YouTube stream here so I can see chat and see who we've got here and who's talking. So I see we have Dysfunctional Wombat. I love I do love that name. Hello, that's good. I'm glad that you could join us. I posted some links to some Discord groups. So we'll see if we can round up a crew here. Maybe this isn't everyone's interest. Primarily, this channel will be vintage type machines, but it is also a technology channel. So, I mean, you never know what's going to end up on the bench here. I mean, I might end up taking an old HP printer apart or something that's not very interesting. And I have lots of weird stuff. I'm also an avid Ryobi Tools fan, so wouldn't be surprised if some non-sponsored review of a tool shows up here either. Um, so I guess I could get started on this. I thought the stream also was going to start on its own, but it did not. But it's fine. It started at 5:15, which is when I said it would. And hello, Aiden. Good to see you. Glad you could join the stream. Um, so it's also weird looking at the YouTube screen because there's such a delay here. So the main machine that we're going to have two machines here. So we are going to have a Dell. They're both Optiplex machines. Ooh, I know how wonderful and exciting that sounds to everybody here. But we are going to be working on a couple of Optiplex machines. We've got an Optiplex 9020 small form factor. And we've got an Optiplex 390 mini tower. And we're going to use those. Was sort of trying to figure out how to use these. Originally, my plan was to put the 9020 on the bench and use it to do all the OBS streaming and stuff because it's a 20 series, so it's a 4th gen, and this one's got an i7 in it, 16 gigs of RAM. Fairly nice machine. The only limitation to it is that it's so small. You can't expand it very well. It's only got 2 PCI slots in it, so can't do a whole lot with it. The other machine that I brought over here from the house, which was the computer that I was using, as Aaron would probably remember, when I was binge playing the weird game Stardew Valley. When I was doing that, this is the computer that was in the sort of dining room office, so I think we're going to try to use that on the workbench here, so sort of expandable so it can have some cards and stuff in it. Both of these machines are going to have, they're going to be able to do analog video capture. For two reasons. The one on the bench needs to be able to do analog video capture, so I can hook an older machine or something that has composite or RF out. I can connect it directly into an OBS stream with this card, and I can actually broadcast it directly. That seems like a really good thing to have if you're going to be messing with, Apple IIs or something on the bench. Or any other machine, you can just plug it through this card and get a video input from it. So since most 80s computers, 8-bit machines, have some form of RF or composite out, I feel like that's a pretty good idea. So we could also plug a Nintendo up, plug a Sega Genesis up. So that's cool. And then the bench, or the work computer, the video editing / office computer, is going to be, it's also going to have a video capture card, but for a different reason. One of the things that I do in the office here is I do media conversion. So people bring me like a old VHS tape or a camcorder or something like that, and I'll put that onto digital format for people. So it's nice to have that because I have a few VCR decks around here, so I can just run that through. That computer would be helpful if it had a FireWire card in it. I'm not sure what to do about that one yet, but so I've sort of been torn about which machine I should use for which. So as of right now, I think I'm going to use the Mini Tower, which is a 2nd Gen i5. I think I'm going to use that on the bench, and I'm going to use the 9020 on the desk. Plus, it takes up a lot less space on the desk than the Mini Tower does. So let me go back and look here. Can't pronounce any of those letters, but hello, Voon Rent. I got nothing else. I don't know how to say that. But hello and welcome. So I guess we can get started. I guess we could try the machine that needs the most work here, which will be a half decombobulated 9020. Oh, these things are heavy. So we can just have a look at that. And on the back, we've got, it's actually kind of interesting because, let me switch views here. It's actually kind of interesting here because we have traditional ports on this. So Dell was sort of notorious in the late 2000s and on, sort of notorious for doing away with PS2 ports on their machines. The BTX era machines like the Optiplex 745 and 755 and the 210 and all of those sort of fan in the front type machines, they sort of just did away with the PS2 ports. But on the 7000 series and the 9000 series Dell Optiplex machines, starting with, I believe, the 90 series, possibly the 960 series, but like the 790 and the 990, they sort of had a reinsurgence with PS2 ports. Why? I have no idea. I don't know why they decided to bring that back that late in the game, but it's kind of neat. This machine is a 9020, like I said. It's an i7. It's got 3 video ports on the back. It's got 2 display ports and a VGA port here. It's got 6 USB ports, 2 of which are USB 3 built in. It's got a gigabit Ethernet card, audio in, audio out. And the nice thing about the onboard video on these, which is you're not going to game on this machine with the onboard video, really. You could play Stardew Valley on it. It would run that. You're not going to be playing GTA on this or anything that requires, some actual graphics capability. However, the nice thing about the video onboard video circuitry is that you can actually drive all 3 monitors on this. So you can drive every monitor that you can physically connect to these ports on board, which is nice. So in the education system, which is where I'm more familiar with a lot of hardware, we buy the 3000 series, or the 3 series, like the 3020 is a common machine in pretty much all schools. And when I worked for Dell years ago, and I worked for Dell during the era of these machines, because this is probably uh, this one's actually a 2016, but this is the very tail end of the 20 series. And when I say 20 series, I mean that's the last two digits in the model number. That's how Dell splits their stuff out. The first two numbers are the actual model line of the machine. So you have the Optiplex 30, the 70, the 90, and there's actually a 50. There's a 50, a 30, a 50, a 70, and a 90. And the way our hierarchy always used to work when I used to work for Dell's education unit was the 3000 series. This is supposed to be like a student class machine, so it's supposed to be what you would find in a computer lab. They're usually cheaper. They lack some features that the higher up models do. You could get those with much lower spec CPUs if you wanted, like, for whatever reason, if you did not want an i3 that was just out of your league. I don't know, but you could get a Pentium. You could get the dual core Pentium series processors. You actually could not get an i7 in the 3000s usually. So i5 was as good as you could get. You could get them without CD drives. The 3000 series only comes with 2 ports on the front instead of 4. And it does have USB 3, but it only has 2 USB 3 ports in the back. The other thing about 3000 series is that it only has the USB 2 side of things. It only has one USB controller, like one USB path for everything. So it is very easy if you're going to be a power user and you're plugging lots of things into your USB ports. It'll either cook it or it'll just stop working, and you'll get that little message at the bottom that says, hey, this USB device has stopped working because you bought a cheap computer and you plugged too much into me. So that's basically what that leads to. This is an odd machine, the 90 series, 9020 series, and the 9010s. The 9000 series are odd. And they're odd because really there's no real electronic difference between this machine and the 7020 below it. So when you have a 3000 series, there is a huge difference. There is a huge difference. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Thank you for showing up, Aiden. Sorry you can't stick around. And hopefully you can get your phone situated. But the 7000 series and the 9000 series are really the same machine. The 9000 is marketed a little higher up. Really the only difference that you get with the 9000 series is options, like specs. So you can get this with different configurations that you can't get with the 7020, but the system boards in them are pretty much the same. There's no actual hardware differences between them. It's just literally a marketing trim level. In the vehicle world, you call this a trim level. So this little guy, like I said, is an i7, which is common on the 9000 series to have the higher end processor. I'm not sure which i7 this has in it. I would have to look. This one, we can open it up here. We can see what's in it. It's actually kind of in pieces, so we get to kind of see that now. And then one of the other differences between the 3000 series and the 9000 or 7000 series is that they have this wonderful little latch right here on the door. So it's real easy to open up the case instead of you have these little thumb screws back here on the 3000 series, and then somebody comes along with a screwdriver and tightens them up, and you can't get them off. You got to go find a screwdriver. It's really a pain when you just want to open the computer up. So they got this nice little door. This door opens up. So we can kind of see what we got going on inside here. We'll get a little bit of zoom going on here, and hopefully things aren't super washed out. I could actually attempt to turn the camera light off, and that might help us a little bit. Maybe. Not really. It's a little bit washed out. Might turn that light back on, actually, just so we can get some more light inside there. I don't know if that actually helps, but so this is our insides. So you can kind of see it's a real compact machine. It's actually, it is a Dell it's a little bit proprietary, like just about every Dell is. The 20 series Dells really saw a huge increase on that, so they started using their own kind of unique power supplies, even though this machine is actually based on ATX, the ATX standards. But Dell does a few weird things, like their power supply is different in the 20 series going forward, and they don't use a traditional ATX power supply anymore. They use the setup where the power from the power supply goes into the system board, and then the system board has ports on it to like power the drives. So I don't really like that, because if you want to take a machine and try to make it into like a gaming machine or something on the budget, because you can usually get these things like crazy dirt cheap, which is wonderful, because you can get a pretty decent spec machine for a quarter of the cost of building one of your own. But the problem with that setup is that if you say I want to put a 1650 Super into a machine, well, I can't, because it has to have its own power, and this just doesn't. I can't upgrade the power supply in this even if I wanted to. So this guy here, and we can see if I'll get this zoomed in here, we'll see how big this power supply is. I think it's like a 255, maybe. It seems about right. So we can kind of see here. Let me see if I can kill back this other light source a little bit. Doesn't really make any difference. So let's it's not ideal, but we can read it now. We'll let that. So yeah, so this is our power supply. Yeah, so it's a 255. And I think, and I could be corrected, I wish there were more people here to correct me, but that's fine. So I think this is the biggest power supply that you can get in the small form factor machine. They just don't come with very big power supplies. The towers, let me turn the brightness back up on that a little bit. I think that's probably a pretty good middle ground for light and saturation. The mini towers, you can get them with, I think, in the 300s range, maybe like a 350, 305, 350, somewhere around that, which is mostly adequate. But even in the mini towers on these things, it's still a strange power supply setup where it goes through the motherboard. The 10 series, which was right before this, like the 9010 and the 7010, the small form factor does use a weird power supply, but at least on the 10 series, on the mini towers, they are still standard ATX, so you can go buy a ATX power supply and put in there. The motherboard is still an ATX board. It's a little proprietary. It has different power connectors and things on it. But I have a 7010 at home. That's my main computer. It's a 7010 mini tower, and I pretty much have it spec'd out as far as you can, So, and it does all right for its age. It's a 3rd gen i7, and that machine has a 1660 video card. I'm not a hardcore gamer. Plays everything I want to do. Can't justify spending the crazy money on a computer right now because they are absolutely ridiculous, and you can't buy video card anywhere. It's terrible. So this machine here is supposed to be working. So we'll just kind of take this apart and see what we're dealing with, what we have in here. We're not going to go too crazy like to take the CPU out or anything, because it is a working computer and I don't have any thermal paste laying around here to reglue it if we do that. So we're just going to kind of get it down to the component level and kind of look at it. And we'll just go from there. So the first thing, one of these machines, the first thing you have to do pretty much to these is you have to take the front panel off before you can do really anything to them. You can't even get the hard drive cradle out of the silly thing without taking the front panel off, which is not bad. There's 3 tabs, right? 1, 2, and 3 right there. And then you just kind of lift them up, and then you'll see it kind of comes off, and then it hinges down. It just opens like a little door, and it comes off. So we have all of our stickers here, and you can see it was a Windows 7 machine. It's not going to be a Windows 7 machine anymore. I don't know. Stick that on the drawer. Now I have a Windows 7 benchtop here. My counter is the old workbench here is Windows 7 now. So, we can kind of see on the front what ports we have. So we have our two high-speed USB ports. We have a headphone jack, a microphone jack, and two USB 2 ports, whereas the lower models don't. They only have 2 ports on the front. So it's kind of nice to have 4 ports there. And one of the other neat things about these small form factor machines is the Dell badge. You can actually switch it around. It just has a little Phillips screw right here. And you take that out and you can actually rotate it like this, and you can, if you were going to sit the computer down like a desktop mode where it was flat, you could change the logo around. It was something that older Dells could always do. There was always the Dells that had the round logo had a notch in them, so you could always take a little like pencil or something and you could swirl the logo around, which I thought was kind of cool. And both of the desktop variants can do this. There's a slightly larger desktop, which actually I have here, because, why not? But yes, this is the, and I'll zoom out here. This is the larger desktop. So, and you can kind of see, I'll just kind of raise this up to the camera here so you can get a look at it. It looks a lot like this. And you can kind of see I've already flipped the Dell logo around on it because it can do that too. But yeah, this was another size here that they used to offer through the 10 series. For some reason, when the 20 series came out, they actually completely discontinued this chassis. I wish they hadn't, because it's still it's a pretty reasonably sized chassis, and I like the size of it. It's a little bit bigger than the 20s. Or it's a little bit bigger than these small form factors, where this is just a desktop. And I'll open this up just so we can have a comparison here. But there's a lot more room in this thing. And that's where I think they really messed up. This thing has a smaller power supply in it than the little one does. And the power supply in this one is a, let's see here, where is it? I think it's a 250. Yes, I think it's a 250 exactly. I'm kind of blind, sorry. Yeah, so this little guy here is a 250, and this big thing over here that this machine has here is only a 255. So it's only 5 watts bigger, and it takes up a lot more space, and it's way more intrusive on the whole system. So I don't know why they couldn't have just taken this power supply and put it in the small form factor. I don't know what to do. The neat thing about this machine is these larger chassis ones is this is actually the motherboard out of the mini tower in here. So this is a 7010. So this would have the same motherboard as my mini tower. It's a half height case because it's a desktop case, and it has a little bit weaker power supply as far as wattage. But and it's ATX just like the desktop is for the 10 series. So it's got a processor power, and then it's got another ATX power supply. It's like I said, it's just, I don't know why they discontinued that one. I liked it, but they did. So after the 10 series, the only desktop form factor that you could get was this. And this is I can already say this is going to be a stream just full of random Dell information because I do know a lot about these machines. And because this era machine was my life for almost 5 years, so you do learn a lot when this is the only thing you work on for a while. You can kind of see, and I'll zoom in here a little bit, but we'll look at the PCI bus on here. And one of the things, and so this little shroud here actually comes off. This is the heat shroud. It's got 2 little clips right here. You just kind of pull those away from the fan, and the whole thing just lifts out, which is nice, little modular setup. But one of the things you might notice is it has 2 PCI slots, and it has a 1X and it has a 16X. And that's cool that it has 16X because it's got a graphics card in it right now. This came from factory with some flavor of AT. I think it's like an R7 250 maybe. It's not awful for when it came out. But the problem is, look at where the slots are. The 1X slot, I'm sorry, in this one it is a 4X slot. I keep forgetting that the 7000s have this. The 4X and the 3000s have a 1X here. But the smaller one, this is a 4X in this case. It's over here where it doesn't need any room. and they put the 16X slot against the power supply. Now, here's the thing. That sucks because this is your sort of cooling setup for the video card. And it's right up against the wall of the power supply, which also gets kind of warm. And so the weird thing about that is that the 10 series, like if this were a 9010 or a 3010, it was reversed. On the 10 series, the larger 16X slot was right here, and the less significant one was over closer to the power supply. So you could actually, if you had a 3010 or a 7010 or a 9010, you could actually put a dual slot video card in there. So you could actually put a pretty decent video card, much better than you could fit in here. You could put a double wide video card in the previous generation. And for some reason on these 20s, they decided that that wasn't important anymore. I don't know why they do that. People do things. Let's go see chat here. Yeah, I didn't realize that maybe we did talk about that and I forgot. But yeah, so I didn't realize that they made power supply adapters, which is cool. Yes, and the other thing that Aaron has mentioned here is that the other desktop that I just had on the desk here, they were nice because they did have a full-size 5 1/4 bay in them. So you could put any kind of regular CD drive, DVD burner, anything in there, card reader. Actually, Dell made a combo drive that was a card reader and a laptop CD drive all in one 5 1/4 module, which was real handy if you wanted a card reader on a desktop and you didn't have that extra bay. Plus, it gives you flexibility on what kind of optical drives or whatever you want in the machine. Whereas this one, you don't. Like, this is what you have. It's a laptop CD drive in a desktop caddy. That's it. That's all you got. The computer itself comes apart pretty easily. There's sort of a little locking switch right here, so we just unlock this, and the whole caddy hinges out like that. Trying to move that in a little further, and then you kind of get this whole thing right here. Now, these drives, these computers, wait a minute. Well, that's not supposed to be in there. There's a AAA battery rolling around in here. That's not supposed to be there. I don't know. It's not the CMOS battery. So yeah, this caddy here comes out, and it's just the typical Dell sliding caddy. Now this one is kind of cool because it actually has the Dell 3.5 adapter, which fits in there real nice. So, and it actually holds 2 drives. It's actually a double-sided thing. So you could put 2 drives in here if you wanted to. One, they would be upside down from each other, I believe is the way that's set up. Maybe I'm imagining that. No, they go in the same way. This one does. But yeah, so you can put 2 laptop-sized hard drives in there if you want to. This one's got a 500 gig Seagate SSHD, which is a hybrid drive, which is, I think it has 8 gigs of SSD storage, and the rest of it's traditional 5400. I think it's a 5400. It's yeah, 5400 drive. I can actually, if we want to read that label, we can read it. We have the power. Yeah, so we can just set it there, and we can kind of zoom in on that. This thing does really well when you really zoom in. Not so much when it's zoomed out, but here we can kind of just kind of set it down there so we can move some stuff out of the way. I don't know how school teachers use these things because they get so weird about positioning. So we'll do that. Because, we just really wanted to read that hard drive. And it's an original Dell drive. You can see that it's got the, anytime you see that little doodad right, or where is it? Right here. Yeah, maybe this little doodad. That's your Dell part number barcode. And you can, we never used it, but there was an actual little scanner thing that you could use that for part scanning, and we never used that. We just used that part number. Dells have 5-digit part numbers. There's always a 0 in front of them. The 0 does nothing. So yeah, these are actually terrible hard drives. They're not unreliable, You know, it's not like the hard drive is just notorious bad like a Hitachi or something, but they're not fast. You think you might think that there's a little bit of a speed advantage to that drive over a regular laptop, and maybe there is a little, but these drives are slow. They're so terrible. It was a higher cost option to get that drive in the machine than there was just to get a regular 7200 RPM 3.5-inch Seagate drive, and it costs more and it's slower, way slower than a traditional drive. Um, so I really do, I really do hate that. And they're useless. Like I have no use for them. But that's what we're going to do here. So this computer here, I guess I should zoom out some more. And of course my headset's already griping at me because it's been running for too long. Let me turn the brightness down again. I can already tell that, oops, hitting the wrong buttons doesn't help either. Yeah, white balance is not this thing's strong suit. And there might just be too much light here too, but we're not going to use this drive. No, we're not going to use that drive. We are going to use a, wherever, if I can remember where I put it. We have a 480 gig SanDisk SSD that's going to go into this machine, which is going to provide a lot more usability than that awful thing. So I am going to go get that real quick. I will be right back. Well, I may have lied because I don't know what I've done with it. It may still be sitting in the car, actually. Of course, I thought I brought it in. Oh, squirrel. I wonder. Oh, I did. Nah, never mind. I am not completely crazy. I mean, I am, I guess, but not for this reason. I think I did actually bring it in here. I just have to find which of these little drawers I stuck it in. Or maybe I didn't. Oh well. Bear with me. I've got a bunch of stuff stuck in this little drawer here because I decided to put that there for some reason. Ah. Okay. I did bring it. I stuffed it in a little drawer and then it got stuck in there. So since we already have our little 3.5-inch converter there, it's kind of nice. We can just stick that in there, format it, and magically fly away. So, so back to this little guy here. There's literally debris in here. And this thing had just been sitting open somewhere. I don't, it's a surplus machine, so I believe that is, I think that's the remains of a Cheez-It cracker. Nice. High class. It's got two 8 gig sticks of memory in it, which is cool. So this little guy is going to have 16 gigs of memory. The nice thing about the 7000 series and the 9000 series is alike, and they have 4 RAM sockets, so this thing will take 32 gigs of RAM, which this would make a nice little server of some sort. So that's pretty cool. And so basically we're going to build this machine here. We're going to build this up for a Windows 10 machine. It will have a SSD in it. We will have this video card, and I also have a really cool add-on card to put in this, and I'll show you that. because this is, like I said, this machine is going to be used for editing videos and importing videos from analog formats like VHS, etc. And so what I have here, we have some cool hardware to do that. If I can get it out of the bag. I have to be able to get this out of the bag first. It's like that weird ASMR-y, whatever the ASMR sound. Yeah. If anybody wants to hear like just 30 minutes of crinkle video, let me know. I can probably arrange that for you. So here is what we have to go in here. We'll hold that up to the camera here. It'd be great if that would like balance its own light out. It would be wonderful. I actually think I'm just going to turn that off. But yeah, so this guy. Maybe turn it back on. I don't know. Anyway, this is a hop-hog pronunciation. I don't know how do you pronounce it. Hop-hog. It's a WinTVR HVR 1250. So this little guy here, which it's not even in the camera view because I'm really good at this. It's a little 1X PCI slot based card. Hello, Luke. Welcome to the stream. Well, you'll have to send me. Yes, you'll have to send me a link to that, Luke. I would love to. I'd love to watch that. Actually, I kind of enjoy ASMR videos. Some of them I kind of like. They're relaxing. Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe that should be my calling. Maybe I should just make some ASMR videos. So yeah, so this is a little tuner card we're going to put in here, and it's this thing. I keep getting out of camera frame. Sorry. We have a. We could just zoom in on that here. So we've got a coax connector here. We have S-video in. We have audio, which just takes a little Y cable adapter. And then we have actually a little port at the bottom there, the little black port at the bottom for infrared remote, because this actually comes with a little external remote deal. These little things are really cool. And if you're trying to record things off of analog video, this is perfect. As far as I can remember, OBS will see these cards, and you can use the different inputs on them, and you can use them through Discord. It's just a generic video input source. It actually has software that comes with it, which I literally just had in my hand. Oh, I think I just tossed it over here. It actually comes with software. I mean, it comes with the actual. Comes with like its own little like DVR software, or you can just use your computer as a TV, kind of like the old Mac AV units used to do. You don't actually have to install the software to use that, but it's kind of neat. Let me go back out and read the chat here. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Do we still have? Let's see here. Oh, we did. I thought I lost you, Aaron. Sorry. So. Zoom out here. So we're going to put this in here. One of the things you might notice here right off the bat is that, wow, that's a full height card. Well, how the heck are we going to get a full height card into a little half height machine? Well, luckily the kit comes with the low profile bracket. This little guy right here. So we can actually just attach this directly to the card. And then that'll fit in the slot next to the video card. So it looks like it, kind of just looking and eyeballing in here, it looks like it has a, it has like a little like lock ring that goes around the sound input. And then it has a Phillips screw right there. So we just take that off. And luckily, I have tools. I have a screwdriver and I have pliers. So that's pretty much all we're going to need to do that, and then we'll get that mounted in the machine, and then we will get the hard drive mounted in the machine, and at that point, this machine, would be done, except I don't want a DVD drive in the machine. I don't know why. Whoever bought these bought them like the one thing that you would go cheap on, like, and it's such an insignificant amount of money. It's like these machines, I believe, were used for photo editing and video editing. I believe was what they were purchased for originally. And then it's like, why would you pay that much money for a computer and then save the extra $7 just to get a DVD-ROM instead of a DVD burner? Like, I don't understand. When it comes to people buying things, I can never. It hurts my head to try to think. I don't know what goes through people's head. But I do have something better than a regular DVD drive. Because I'm a technology hoarder and I have all kinds of weird stuff, I have the same drive, but it's a DVD burner. So that's going to go in here because we're not doing this DVD reader stuff. No. Actually, I have some 3020s that are in the same case, and they're probably going to end up being like servers, so those drives will be fine in that. So they're not completely unusable. And let me go out to the YouTubes. Yeah, I've had several. I've actually had several of these Hauppauge Win TV cards. I actually really think they're cool. I've had one all the way. I think the first one I got was like in 2006 or so, and I had one of those in my e-machines and used to literally hook up the PlayStation 2 to the thing just to play through because I had like a 24-inch monitor on that computer at the time, so it was pretty cool. These are the newer versions, and I don't know if this actually will do digital broadcast, which I don't care about that. The only downside to this particular card that I have here is that it is a newer version than what I have in the tower, and it kind of sucks because the older version of this card, instead of what is it? There's one of the ports is different. Let me look, or maybe it has an additional port. Yeah, it has additional port. So this bracket is for this card. But the card that I have in the tower already, which I don't even know where that one came from, but it has a different layout. It actually has an extra port here, and it's got a composite made in. This one will do composite, but there's a little barrel connector that goes there, like a little converter. So it just converts the composite to S-video. I don't have that, but it's like $5 or $6 on Amazon. StarTech makes one. You can actually get one from Hauppauge, but I don't know how long it would take to get here. So I have options. I actually have that silly barrel connector somewhere here. I just have no idea where it is. This was at the house, and it was in a little box, and I don't know where it went. So give me just a second here. I'm going to have to plug up my headset because it's apparently going dead. So let me get a USB cable real quick so I can continue to be able to talk through the broadcast. I guess that would be helpful, I'm told. So have this. I wonder how I could plug it in here and just never reach back any further. That'd be great. Where can I plug this in at that it would work and still charge this and not completely turn? Oh, I bet you I know what I can do. Ideas. I wish I would have just brought a battery pack with me. That would have been great. But that's okay. I've got a laptop here, and I'll just plug it into one of the USB ports on the laptop so we can charge. Well, it appears to be charging this way. It's actually kind of surprising, to be honest, but pardon the ugly white cord hanging off my head now. But yeah, I should have charged that before I started the stream. Hey, raise your hand if you ever made a mistake in life. Me. lots of them, usually daily. Funny how that works. So this machine here looks like it may have already been set up for two drives because it's got a SATA power splitter in here, so that's kind of interesting. And it's actually a Dell part. It's got a Dell part number on one side here, which you can't see because of white, the oversaturated white. And it's got a Foxconn sticker on the other side, so it's a Dell part. In case those that don't know, Foxconn makes the majority of hardware for Dell. That's usually who physically makes the equipment. This video card is not terrible, if I recall. I don't really need a video card in this machine, but it's there, and it's a low-profile video card, so it kind of limits me to what else I could put it in. So it'll stay. It'll be better than the onboard. You can also use the onboard plus that video card, so I mean, you're not really limited to doing that. The only bad thing about the Dell equipment is that it uses DisplayPort. I like DisplayPort just fine, but the monitors that I have around here are either VGA or HDMI. So, so I'll have to come up with something else. I could just get a DVI or a DisplayPort to HDMI cable for that. It's not really a big deal right now. And this is all kind of a work in progress type thing, so we may not get any of this done tonight, but we're at least going to get this computer assembled. So maybe this will be a longer video because I think this can go on for a while. So what I might just do is go on and put this 9020, assemble it how we want it, and we'll do that. And then I might put the 390 and talk about it. We're not really going to do much to the 390. It's already working and assembled. The only thing that I will do to the 390 going forward is to probably put an SSD in it as well, which I could do as well tonight. Depends on how long this goes and what kind of interest there is for it. But it's not going to get much. It may, like I said, it may just get a. There's a cute little card without the backplate on it. May just get a boot drive SSD. It actually has an SSHD in it. It has one of the full size 7200 RPM Seagate 3.5-inch SSHDs, and they're not bad. They're not the fastest drive, but they are faster than a regular drive, and they are big. And I don't know why Seagate really did this, but what they really should have done was make the SSD part of their drives bigger. Like 100 at this point, at this point 128 gig SSD to be built in would be very easy to do. At least they're 8 gigs because you can at least keep the swap on there. The drive actually kind of manages itself, so you don't get to choose what's on the SSD or what's on the spinning media. So the controller on the drive, the logic in the drive just basically arranges it in a way where the 8 gigs of the most accessed data is placed on the SSD. That's how it works. My theory is that usually that would probably be the swap file. So if you have 8 gigs of RAM on your machine, and you have 8 gigs of that temporary whatever that SSD hybrid cache is, you might get most of your swap stored in that, which is better than nothing. So we're going to get this in here. And of course, this is the famous screwless Dell slot flap thing that I sometimes hate with passion. Yeah, so you don't have any screws here. It just kind of pressure clamps over top of them, and then it holds them in there. But they do fit in there nicely. See, we have everything we need in the machine. We have a fairly decent video card, and we have a video input card. So I think it's pretty cool. I'll have to get a little connector for that to figure out how to import the video to it directly. So, and so the other option. So since this thing is actually, well, it is sort of set up to do 2 drives, but I don't think I'm going to do 2 because I can't see any reason that I would need more than 400 and whatever we have on here. This is a, what is this drive? It's a 480, so that'll be fine. It's bigger. It's about the same size as the hard drive that came in it, the spinner, which is 500. There's actually going to be a file server in this room. It's just going to be like a little FreeNAS box, probably 4 terabytes, just like a little mirror RAID type file server, something simple. Build it out of an old Dell or something that I got laying around. So, I mean, any kind of archiving stuff can go on that file server. I don't need to be keeping it on every machine. So we can do that. Welcome back, Aaron. I do have a weird question for you guys. Is my webcam getting blurry to you all, or am I just imagining that? Because I can't really tell. It kind of looks like it's blurring out on me, but maybe it's not. And if it is, does it look really, really bad? So, and then here we're just gonna take this drive out of this socket here, and then we're just gonna pop the SSD in its place. So to do that on a Dell, I mean, they're just nice little tabs. They pull apart. It's a very flexible thing. And then this just comes out. So it's just no. I mean, there are screws, but actually, there's only screws if you have the 2.5-inch drive in the machine, which is the silly part. So like the little caddy here that converts the 2.5 to the 3.5, it has screws in it. It's like, but the actual, if you just had a 3.5-inch drive to put in here, those little pegs are actually the screws. They just go in the screw holes in the drive. So this thing's completely screwless except for that. It only uses screws if you have a 2.5-inch drive you want to put in this thing. It's so silly. The 40, so it's actually weird. There's not a 30 series that I'm aware of in between the series on these. So like this is a 9020. There's not. I've never. Not to say that it doesn't exist. Maybe I shouldn't word it that way. But I have never seen a 7030 or a 9030 in a traditional desktop because this is a 2016 computer, right? So. I think they made the 20 series until the 40 series came out because I started working on the 3040s and the 7040s in about 2016. So I don't remember there was not an in-between machine to this because they actually changed the way the machines looked when they went to the 40 series. It's very similar to this, but it's just a slight bit different. So on this machine here, and you can kind of tell a little bit, zoom out. So there's a piece on the front. Those are where the USB ports are on the machine, right? So it's removable on here, which is nice because one of the things when you put these computers in a school and people plug things into the front USBs is they break the USB ports, right? So just, that's what kids do. Well, on here, it's this little black connector right here. You just take this whole front cover off or whole front little assembly and just get a new one and put on there. It's great. You're back in business. They quit doing that on the 40 series. On the 40 series, the actual part here is made into the case. It doesn't exist. And all of the USB and front audio ports are actually sticking out of the front of the motherboard. So there's not a separate connector. So if you put something in there and you break it off, well, Johnny, now you just bought the school and motherboard. Congratulations. It's actually a really stupid design on Dell's part, but whatever. The rest of the machine after this does keep this sort of pattern, like the way it's laid out. It's got pretty much the exact same power supply in it. There is a 5000 series that comes after these. So there's a 5040. So there's a 3040, a 5040, a 7040, and a 9040. Yay, because that's not hard to keep up with on the product matrix at all. But this one, and there's no, like, I don't recall there being a 5th gen processor because these are 4th gens and the 40 series are 6th gens. So figure that one out. Doesn't make any sense. So I don't know what was happening in the 5th generation world or the 30s. They don't exist as far as I can tell. Let's see here. Yes, I have a couple of those beige Optiplex units from the late 90s. I don't think I have a Tower Optiplex anymore, Luke, but I do have it's like a GX110, I think, desktop. It's kind of a neat machine. Not very attractive machine. I think we discussed that the other night. I think me and Aaron were talking about that. It's not really a pretty machine, but I think the tower is kind of interesting looking. I think the oldest, that might be the oldest Optiplex. Think about that. Nope. The oldest Optiplex I have is a beige 166, Pentium 166 tower, non-MMX. I have one of those. I like that design of Dell a lot. Mid 90s, it's very cool looking, and it actually works. I've got Windows. I think it's got Windows 95 on it. It's got a SCSI CD drive and a SCSI card in it. It's got a Caddy Load SCSI Toshiba drive in it. It's very cool. Um, let's see here. Oh yeah. So we'll get back to this. We'll get this little hard drive out of here. I don't know what to do with these things. Could build like some weird little RAID array out of them or something, like just put a bunch of those little SSHDs together. My RAID setup at the house actually is kind of interesting in that respect, because it has 4 1TB drives in a RAID 5 array, and they're all the SSHD drives, the 3.5s. And so I was kind of wondering how that would work and if that would cause issues. Because when I first put that together, it was sort of on a test basis, just to kind of see how it worked, but I haven't had any issues with that. I kind of wondered if the SSD part would intervene or cause issues, but it hasn't. I don't know how that exactly works when you have 4 different drives writing different parts of the data stripe onto the drive, and then it's also the drive is trying to keep up with the allocation table for the SSD. I have no idea how that works, how that would physically be possible, but they were pretty much free 1TB drives, so I couldn't turn that down, because I had, that array had 500 gig Hitachi drives in it. Now, they were not desk stars, they were server grade Hitachi drives, but they were only 500 gig, so that's why I actually replaced them. I didn't care that they were Hitachis. I think the bad taste in everybody's mouth with Hitachis is the Desk Star and the Travel Stars. They're pretty bad. They're commercial drives. They're server drives. They're really common in servers. I mean, we have 2 or 3 HP servers at work that have them. And I think that like that R620 or whatever that is we have, I think it has Hitachi drives in it, Dell branded Hitachi drives. I mean, they're fine drives. The server drives now, consumer drives, I'll pass. I've worked on too many. Even before I became a Dell technician, I worked on way too many, gateway computers, HP laptops, all these, any laptop that was made in the mid to late 2000s seems like it had a Hitachi Travel Star in it. iBook G4s. I cannot tell you how many iBook G4s I've worked on that had those 30, 40 gig IDE Travel Stars in them, and they're just junk. They're junk. I mean, the one that I bought a brand new iBook G4 in 2004, a 12-inch, and I eventually put a Seagate hard drive in the damn thing, but yeah, I mean, I went through the first 30 gig. I think it had a 30 gig Desk Star or Travel Star in it, and then I replaced that, and I think that was under warranty, and then they either there was something weird about that. I think they put a 40 gig in. I got an extra, because I remember being happy about it. It's like, oh, I got an extra 10 gigs of storage for it breaking. So then they put another hard drive in it, and then that hard drive failed shortly after. And then when I opened it up for the first time to see what was going on, they had just basically put another Travel Star in there. So ended up getting a Seagate drive, and I didn't have any issues with the hard drive after that. I am assuming that the strange thing going on out there is probably a spam bot, which I've never seen that before. So it's interesting. But I'm going to remove that user because I don't know what they're saying, and it's a different user than that was in here before, but they're saying the exact same thing. So yeah, so I'm just gonna not do that. I guess I could make somebody a moderator. I guess I can make you a moderator if you want to, Aaron. Well, I tell you what, it's interesting. Hey, moderator. Okay, you're a moderator now, Aaron. to moderate all three people that are in here. So yeah, so the interesting thing about Hitachi drives is Hitachi data storage actually um, it's IBM's data storage division. So Hitachi bought their storage division out of them in the 90s. So the Hitachi drives were originally all based on IBM drives, which is funny. Um, I mean, I guess you can have I guess we could all be mods in here. I think this is only three. There's only like three of us. Why not? I don't know. Is there anybody else in here? Or is it just us? I know this guy's in here still. I don't know how long it takes for that to update. Whatever. Oh, I deleted his message. I didn't hide user on this channel. Yeah, I don't want to see you anymore. I guess. I don't know. I'm still learning how um, Facebook. I'm still learning how YouTube works. Hoorah! I was hidden. He was hidden. He is no lie. I hope I didn't hide like a legitimate viewer. I would feel bad if I did that, but I don't think it is. I think that's just. I think this is spam, sort of a spam bot type thing. So, I remember what I got this in. I have to actually think about that for a minute. I think this SSD came out of my laptop of some sort. It came out of that 3000 series Dell, that little 3440 that I had, that the battery died in it. For some reason, I didn't fix the battery. Yeah, it was a nice laptop while it lasted. It had an NVIDIA GeForce. It had I think it had a 740 in it, a mobile version of the 740. Actually, it wasn't crap, surprisingly. You could actually play Grand Theft Auto on it, which I thought was kind of cool. So let's see here. There's like a little tab. I know. I realize everyone's staring at my head. Okay, so there's a tab in here, and it locks onto a little post, and then you have to figure out the best attack to get the cords in here. It's really not that intuitive at all. And I'm going to have to stick my head over here to do it, so I apologize. You could also slice your finger open. That feels great too, because some of the sheet metal in here is awful. So yeah, I invited Rocky to this. I invited Rocky into the chat in here, into the stream. So, cause working on a Dell machine. I know how much he loves Dells. So I thought he'd really like getting some enjoyment of this crap bucket, but he did not. He did not answer. So I'm heartbroken. Let's see here. Yeah, it's just you and Aaron. That's fine. I'm glad somebody's here. I have no idea how to boot somebody out of here, though. I could just, I can hide them. I could put user in timeout. I don't know what that does. Oh well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I think back can handle modded GTA San Andreas stream windows we need to install. Yeah, I fixed it. Yeah, I just thought it'd be really. I've never had a gaming laptop before, so I just thought it'd be really cool to have, a laptop that can play some games. I mean, to be fair, it will actually play Red Dead Redemption 2, but it is not pleasant. So saying that it plays it is probably not a good way to word that. So remember how. There we go. So this little guy here just snaps back in. So I thought it would be kind of cool to have a little sort of gaming laptop. It just didn't really work out that way. I mean, it did for a minute, but I never used it for that. And then the battery just randomly died in it one day, and it kind of made me mad because, I don't mind batteries dying off when they're when I expect it, right? So your batteries have life. I get it; they all die at some point, but usually it's a fairly gradual downhill for batteries, So I should probably just fix that down a little bit there. But no, this one just one day I just plugged it up and happened to unplug it or something, and it just decided, the laptop just decided that it didn't have a working battery anymore, and that was no fun. So yeah, so there was that was the end of that party for sure. Um, so yeah, I ended up kind of just became tethered to the power cord, and I could get a battery for it, but I started using my old Lenovo Yoga again, and I like that laptop. Plus the Lenovo can do. Sorry, I'm just putting the front cover on this machine, and it's easier if I can sit it in front of me to get it lined up right. So there we go. So now we have a complete Optiplex 9020 small form factor machine. How cool is that? So, well, actually it's not. I lied. There we go. Just gotta put the weird little shroudy thing in there, which always feels like you're breaking everything in it when you put it in there. It's such a chintzy piece, but it's kind of a weird, that's such a weird setup. It's actually, and it even says right there for some reason, it has the word performance engraved in the plastic. I don't know. Yeah, it sucks air in from the top. So that has a fan here, right, which just blows air in, and then it just kind of pushes cool air from the front end of the system. And then this is also, the CPU fan is also the exhaust fan in this machine. So it sucks air on the top, blows it down through the CPU, and then it just kind of goes out this open duct in the back where it has some vents. I don't really like that so much because it's kind of like the old Dells used to do with like the BTX era, where they would just sit there and blow hot air across all the capacitors behind the CPU. But this is not old enough, and it hasn't had the use to really have a problem yet, I don't think. We hope. So, but at this point, unless anybody else wants to see any aspect of this machine, this is basically ready to go. We've got, CDs in the front here. We've got, it's all back together. It's pretty. It doesn't say it's a Windows 7 machine anymore. And we've got all kinds of cool ports on the back, So we've got everything we need back here. We're ready to go. We've got the video card. We've got a display port plus an analog DVI port. We've got a cable tuner. Oh, that's what I need to do, maybe. Well, I don't actually think about that. Actually, I have adapters for these, which convert. They convert. This isn't going to be the bench computer, so this doesn't really matter. But yes, I have adapters that'll convert that to a composite jack. So if you have like a Commodore 64 or a Nintendo, you can just plug an RCA cord between the two pieces instead of having coax. And I just like dealing with composite cables way better than I like to deal with anything coax related. So we don't need that right now. So this thing is basically ready to get Windows on it. So I'm not going to bore anybody with that because we've all seen enough Windows 10 installs in our life. I guess arguably we could also say that we've all seen more Dell computers in our life too. I've got to fix the front panel. These little guys are kind of tricky, getting the front covers on them exactly right. I don't like that about them. They have little feet right here. You can kind of see this little, yeah, so you have to get those in these slots like just right, and you almost have to like raise it up like this and then get these just perfectly lined up because the plastic is so chintzy on them that it's basically the plastic is always warped. But you have to kind of get it hooked in just right and make sure this lower lip, so if you're looking at it from my angle, you have to make sure that lower lip is always just perfectly lined up. It doesn't really hurt anything, but it just looks weird when part of it's like not seated. It makes this nice little resonance when you do that. So that's the video machine, I will call it. Let me go back to the YouTube and check the chat. You're sick of installing Windows 7. Well, I mean, I don't install Windows 7 on anything. It's kind of a weird thing. So most of my stuff that I have that would run Windows 7, if I want to really use it, I'm probably going to put Windows 10 on it, because even a Core Duo machine with enough RAM and even maybe an SSD or something can handle can handle 10 just fine usually. Just making sure my headset's still charging. So I don't really mess with 7 too much. I might have maybe if I have a vintage machine around here or something, get back into installing Windows 7 on, but I've just been doing 10. The nice thing when you install 10, at least right now, until they change it, I guess. Excuse me. If you have a machine with an OEM Windows 7 sticker on it, you can install Windows 10 using that key, and it will install. So, there's no reason to really do anything else with that. So, yeah, I know that people like 7. I don't dislike 7. I can't use it at work because it's a security issue at work. So I just, the computers at home are usually new enough to run Windows 10 anyway. I don't do a lot of middle ground PC stuff, right? So these computers here are like the oldest stuff that I really have. And let's see, this Optiplex here, let's see, how old is this one? I always move it the wrong direction. Really bad at this. Let's just zoom in on that tag, because the service tags on Dell machines will usually tell you the manufacture date, which is cool. And on this one, it is October 11th of 2011. So this 390 is over 10 years old now. It's hard to believe, because I said I remember when these things were brand new, when this case style was. The 90 series was the first of the return to the Dell ATX Optiplex case, because this is the first machine that came after the BTX era, which is like the Core 2 machines. The Core 2 machines were Core 2 Duo machines, Core 2 Quad, those ones that had the opposite side that opened up and they had the fan in the front. Those went all the way up to the 80 series. It's actually interesting because, as far as I know, there's not a first generation Core i series of these. Maybe the 980. Maybe that was the transition machine. So Dell got real weird about 2009, 2010 with their machines. So this guy here came out in like late 10, early 11. This case style, which is basically what I've got all 3 of the triad here. I've got this is the mini tower. I've got the desktop. I've got the small form factor. Actually, the only one I don't have is there's an ultra small form factor. I don't have that. I don't really want one. They're pretty kind of crappy, but yes, I have almost 3 of the 4. But the weird thing is, in the Dell Optiplex 960 is actually the first machine, and I'll turn this up on its back here so you can kind of see it here, what it looks like. Zoom out. So this machine, this case language that was the 90 series, then the 10 series, and the 20 series, this case language actually started on the Optiplex 960 machine. So when the Optiplex 960 came out, it was a BTX computer just like everything else they were making, but it introduced this whole like mesh grill look and this plastic front type look. And then when when the 980 or the 990 came out, the 390, the 790, the 990 came out. It was this ATX machine, but the first version of this case style was actually still a BTX machine. It's weird. I don't know much about the 980. It's kind of a weird unicorny machine. I've never seen one in person. I know they existed, but I've never seen one. And they may have been a first generation, but like the 3 series and the 7 series and the 9 series, like these, as far as I know, there is not a first gen I version of them. These start at generation 2. This has got a second gen i5 in it. So there's not like a single, the original ones like that. So it's just kind of weird. But yeah, so I'll open this up. This one doesn't really need anything. I would like to add like I was saying, I might add an SSD to it in addition. This one has one of the 1 terabyte SSHD drives in it, the little 3.5. It's got a video card in it. I think I could cheat. I don't know if it actually says it. It's an NVIDIA card. I just don't remember what it is. Oh, yeah, so this has got an NVIDIA GeForce GT 640 overclock 1 gig edition. So it's better than onboard video because second gen i5 isn't going to have crap for onboard. It's going to have like HD 2000 something graphics, 2500 or something like that. That isn't going to be that great. So it's better than what comes in the machine. It's got the original Dell power supply in it. This power supply is a 265 watts, so it's really not much better than the little bitty ones, but it's more than enough to handle what's in here. I have it's got a DVD burner in it for a CD drive, which should be fine, and it has a card reader in it, and I need to replace the card reader. It's actually got a Dell, nice, out of another machine. It's got the 5 1/4 to 3.5 inch adapter plate, and it's all a Dell unit, but for some reason the SD card slot on it doesn't work. Every other slot does. But I got 2 more of those, so I just don't have them here. So I'll go do that. Because this is a 300 series, a 3 series, it only has 2 memory sockets in it, and it's got I think this has, I have to cheat. It's got 8 gigs of RAM. This will be the bench computer. It also has over here, you really can't see it, but I guess I can show you the back panel of it so you can kind of get an idea what it has in it. This one has the video card, which gives you digital DVI, VGA, and HDMI. It has a FireWire card in it. I think it's got a regular PCI, maybe, because I feel like this has a legacy PCI slot in it. Could be wrong about that. Nope, it's a 1X card. So this one does not have a legacy PCI on it at all. And yeah, so it doesn't have does not have what was I saying? Oh, no legacy PCI slot. I was reading the chat, sorry. The 790 of this machine would have actually had a legacy PCI slot. It would have had 2 16X slots, I think a 4X slot, and a legacy PCI slot. I think is what the 790 would have had. And then of course this has the slightly older version of the Hauppauge card that we just put into the 9020, which I like because it has the composite already in it, which I don't care. I mean, little barrel connector is not that hard to get, but yeah. And so we got our basic stuff. We've got gigabit Ethernet. This is not a USB 3 machine. So this is USB 2 only, which it shouldn't matter for what I'm doing here. If push comes to shove on this machine, I will take the FireWire card out and put a just try not to fall over the chair. If push comes to shove on this machine, I will take the FireWire card out and put a USB 3 card in it because I have one for it. The FireWire card would be much more useful. It would be much more useful in the 9020, to be honest. But I don't know. If I put it in the 9020, then I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I may not end up using it in the 9020 at all. I may just use like a USB video capture device, which you can do. So, I don't know. But this is what we're going to start with. The other thing is Dell could never make their mind up about their port arrangement. So the 390 and the 3010, they have HDMI ports built into them right here on board next to the VGA. And when they moved to the 3020, they moved to DisplayPort like everything else, but only the 3 series had the HDMI. The 790 does not have HDMI, and the 7010 does not have HDMI. They're DisplayPort, so it was kind of like Dell didn't have a standard for for the early years. Yeah, well, this one is. I really wish it was a 790, to be honest. Like that would be ideal. If it were 790, I would have a PCI slot so I could use a PCI card in it. But really you can't really populate all of the slots in here anyway, because technically this is a single slot video card, but it has a big cooler on the side, and it actually takes up a lot of that space anyway. So you can only have 3 cards in it with that video card in it. Um, Guess you could get like a low profile, like a slim card in it, but you could probably get one better that would only take up 1 slot, that is more powerful than the that's more powerful than the 640. 640 is not a real powerful card, but for what this thing's going to do, it should do everything it needs to do just fine. Um, and I guess I could always put together another one of these little ones if I really wanted to have a better bench computer, because I have some i5 3020s, and they're still, that would be plenty fast too. But I was just trying to find a use for this thing. It had all the ports and stuff already in it, so I don't know what I'm going to do with the FireWire stuff. Like I said, the FireWire would be more useful. Really, the FireWire would be more useful on the um, desktop computer over here for importing videos and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe I'll switch it all around. I don't know. But that said, that pretty much covers all the Dells that we're going to be using in the shop here for right now. So which that, I guess, suppose brings our stream to an end, since there's nothing else Dell related to talk about. If anybody, which I believe everyone in this at the moment in the chat, except for the Russian that I can't pronounce there, which is saying the same thing. So I think we have another spammer in the chat, which is great. If anybody wants to join the Discord later, I'm probably going to head over into the Discord chat after this. So that's all I had for now. Just another stream to try to hone in the craft of using OBS and YouTube some more. Hopefully I can keep a somewhat steady stream of these, and some of them will be more interesting than others for sure. You can only make such an interesting video out of 10-year-old Dell Optiplex education boxes. But I did bring the 6100 over to the shop. It is sitting next to the desk here, and I hopefully might try to make I won't say I'll try. I might make a video. I might try. There we go. I might try to make a video of the Macintosh Plus and its hard drive weirdness. So I don't know, but but I appreciate everybody for coming out and watching the stream. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. And if you have any suggestions, you can join my Discord or message me. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, or if you have any suggestions or things that you would like to see, I'm all ears. So everyone, I hope you have a great evening, and it was very nice chatting with everybody. Take care and have a wonderful day.